It is estimated that throughout the entire history of planet Earth, there have been roughly 108 billion humans. Decade after decade and generation after generation, humans have walked this earth knowing all very well that one day our time will come. For many, the thought of this can be frightening, and rightfully so. When you're gone, right? Of course, there are the rare occasions where humans can pass away and be brought back to life a short time later. Even more rare are the freak stories you hear of people suddenly waking up in the morgue or even in their own coffins. However, there are some situations where it seems that nature didn't feel like playing by its own rules. The animal kingdom is already full of crazy creatures with amazing abilities. Well, one of these abilities is coming back to life after death, or at least appearing that way. Of course, being the channel that we are, we couldn't let the opportunity to cover this topic pass. From a frog that froze and then thawed, to a chicken that lived for 18 months without a head. Here are 5 animals that can live after death. Winter is often one of the harshest times for many creatures on this planet. Many animals take to hibernating and sleeping during the cold months. But a species of frog known as the Rana sylvatica takes a bit of a kamikaze approach to it all. You see, it doesn't seek shelter or look for a warm place when the frost and snow come. It simply gives nature the middle finger and freezes. That's right. The frog will simply stop moving and let itself freeze, almost to death. Nearly 75% of their bodies are frozen. They stop breathing and their hearts stop beating. As the seasons progress, temperatures can fluctuate, causing the frog to undergo various periods of thawing and refreezing. However, the entire time, it simply remains in a state of suspended animation. When the weather warms back up, the frogs simply thaw out and start moving around. So what allows the frogs to have such an ability? The answer actually lies in the frog's blood. As temperatures drop, they begin to produce a special antifreeze in their blood that is made of glucose and glycogen. When the frogs finally freeze, the antifreeze is taken up into their cells. Each individual cell keeps a bit of this unique syrup, preventing ice crystals from forming, which would absolutely kill them. With this antifreeze in place, the cells remain strong so that once the thaw comes, everything goes back to how it was before the frog froze. Scientists today study this unique frog in hopes of one day improving organ transplants for humans. We're sure that many of you would agree that snakes aren't your favorite creature. Seeing one in the wild usually sparks fear in people. But we all know that if you need to terminate it, you can get a tool and cut off its head. It isn't an uncommon thing by any means. However, for those who have taken the head off of a snake, they know that it doesn't always seem to finish the snake immediately. As a matter of fact, the body and even the severed head seem to want to continue to fight. Snakes with no heads can sometimes be more dangerous than snakes with heads. There was a recorded incident in southern China where a chef was preparing a spitting cobra to be cooked. The head had been cut off 20 minutes prior. However, it still bit him and killed him. Although it seems like an isolated incident, it is actually far from it. The trick actually lies in the metabolism of reptiles. They are many times lower than those of humans. This means that their internal organs stay alive for much longer. As long as snakes have teeth, it can bite, even if the head has been separated from the body for quite some time. Also, since the venom glands of the snake are found in the head, they can still work fine if the jaws happen to clamp down on an unsuspecting victim. How many of you enjoy some good sushi? Japanese cuisine is famous for using all sorts of seafood in their dishes. This goes double for raw fish. However, the Japanese people are also known for being quite eccentric with many of their dishes as well. So, when you mix a love for raw fish and the eccentricity, you get Katsu Ika Odoridon. Translated to English, that means dancing squid rice bowl. To be honest, this doesn't require you to use your imagination. It is exactly what it sounds like. To prepare this dish, the chef takes noodles or rice and places them in a bowl topped with some other ingredients such as salmon eggs and other vegetables. Then, a live squid is brought in and its head removed. Afterwards, the lifeless body and tentacles are placed on top of the rice and other ingredients. But wait, there's more. When the dish is finally brought out to the customer, soy sauce is poured on top of the lifeless body of the squid. When this happens, the tentacles activate and the body of the squid moves around, stands up, and sometimes even crawls off of the bowl and falls onto the table. Now, this doesn't mean that the chef has turned into Frankenstein and brought a dead body back to life. The reason for the dancing is due to the reaction between the freshly killed squid and the soy sauce. When the chef brings it out, it has probably been dead for a matter of seconds, which means the squid's muscles still work. When the sodium from the soy sauce comes in contact with the muscles, it triggers involuntary spasms. This makes the tentacles spring into action. So, the squid isn't really brought back to life. But, while the dish may be a culinary adventure, it's probably best to imagine it or watch videos on it. This thing is a little too trippy for our taste. If you've heard the term running around like a chicken with its head cut off, believe it or not, there is actually a bit of truth to it. Let us tell you the story about Mike, the headless chicken. Back in September of 1945, Lloyd Olson, a farmer from Fruita, Colorado, was planning dinner with his family. So, he went out to kill a chicken for dinner. But, as he swung the axe, he missed the jugular vein, leaving one ear and most of the brainstem intact. So, instead of dying, the chicken just walked around in a clumsy manner. Instead of killing him, Lloyd decided to care for him. Although he was unable to peck for food or even crow, he could ingest food. Olson would feed him a mixture of milk and water through an eyedropper in order to keep him hydrated. He would also feed him small grains of corn and worms. Mike the chicken actually acquired quite a bit of fame. He traveled the country and appeared in various sideshows. He was also featured in Time and Life magazines. At one point, Mike was valued at $10,000, which is closer to $115,000 in today's currency. But all good things come to an end. In March of 1947, at a motel room in Phoenix, Mike choked to death in the middle of the night. He somehow managed to get a kernel of corn stuck in his throat. After everything was said and done, Mike survived for 18 months without his head. You've probably heard that cockroaches can survive anything. After a nuclear blast, they'll still be running around. When an asteroid destroys all life on the planet, cockroaches will somehow survive. While these may be some pretty extreme examples, the reality is that they are very resilient. Cockroaches are able to survive weeks without food or water, handle extreme temperatures, regrow limbs, and even live for a period without a head. They are also resistant to radiation. It is probably from these crazy facts that the wild stories of their survival originated. In reality, roaches cannot come back to life. Instead, they are able to convincingly play dead. When they feel threatened for their lives, roaches may go into shock, at which time they become immobile and stay that way until the shock wears off. This is actually a common defense technique in nature for some animals who don't have any defense mechanisms. So, if you've ever stepped on a roach or sprayed it with insecticide and it started running around again after being dead for a while, then, surprise, it was never dead to begin with. It is crazy how many curveballs nature can throw at us. If nothing else, we can see how resilient animals can be when it comes to survival. In the case of the squid, nature can even play cruel tricks on us, making us squeamish and uncomfortable. Regardless, it really is incredible to witness. If you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely want to click the link on screen now to check out another. Also, be sure to subscribe to never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.